Dissolving the Other, Orientalism, Consumption, and Katy Perry's Insatiable Dark Horse by Rosemary Pennington. This is an image of Katy Perry in this music video. What do you see here? What do you think the things that she is wearing or are around her represent? One of the criticisms of this video is the idea that she is committing cultural appropriation, and she is also being accused of racism. She has shown yellow face in some of her videos. In particular, it's occurred in one of her videos when she was dressed as a Japanese geisha at an award show. She also was accused of putting on blackface when she was wearing a black hairstyle for her video, This Is How We Do. She also shows racism in her anti-Muslim portrayals. Perry destroyed a piece of jewelry with the word Allah written in Arabic and destroyed a brown-skinned man attached to the jewelry for her video, Dark Horse. These videos are demeaning. These portrayals are demeaning. She is dressing in cultural groups' attire without the acknowledgement of the culture, and this is cultural appropriation because there's a lack of appreciation for the culture that originated these particular ideas, these traditional clothing. This is more than just an idea. It's more than just mere costuming. This is about people's cultures as consumption. What we see here, according to Alcoff, is the white privilege's ability to consume anything, anyone, and anywhere. Orientalism focuses on discourse that codifies difference, and in particular, Western is normalized and Eastern is othered. What we see also is that things of the Orient, things that are othered, are used so they can be possessed and consumed. We see here that the East can be contained, especially when it's threatened by the colonizer. We can also see media representations of Orientalism, again, the otherness of things that are not Western. And this is often unevenly reflected in media representations. We see the East as representative of things that are soft, feminine, irrational, and needing to be saved by Western masculinity. Often the Orient has been feminized through visual depictions of harems full of veiled women and language that links the very landscape to soft, curving female bodies. Again, we're talking about East versus West, the colonized versus the colonizer. And the colonial body is colonial power. It's racialized and gendered identities. The East is needing to be tamed. It's often represented as in sexual behaviors, and we see this us versus them. When it comes to sexuality, the colonized are unable to control their sexual impulses and therefore need to be rationalized or colonized. This colonial body, this otherness, sharpens the contrast versus us, versus them, in policy, but also in narratives of colonial life. Imaginaries such as imaginary geography are constructions designed to orient us to the world. In these constructions, differences are highlighted and similarities are masked. These similarities are masked to ground realities with the goal to commodify and consume the Orient. When we think of music videos as a form of media, we often think of it as just a form of very quick entertainment that's used to glorify the senses. It's also used to put out a commercial agenda, and maybe also to signify liberation. The commercial agenda is used, of course, to advertise albums and tours. These videos merge artistic and commercial production. They help us navigate uncritically between the familiar and the strange, portrayed as more of a spectacle than a narrative. So it's there so you don't think critically about what you're seeing in the video as you're listening to the song. So let's examine Dark Horse and using a post-colonial studies perspective. This perspective is a study of communication that provides a historical and international depth to the understanding of cultural power. Dark Horse perpetuates Orientalist framing of East and West. We see it's an imagined depiction of Egypt. And Egypt has a long history of colonization and imperialism. In this video, Egypt and things associated with Egypt are seen as mere accessories. For instance, the hieroglyphics help the audience to navigate the strange landscape, latching onto what is familiar while allowing the unfamiliar to fly by. It works to create both an idea of Egypt and an Egyptian Perry as consumable, easily swallowed by viewers. We see things that are familiar, such as the hieroglyphics. But again, these things are changed to be more consumable, similar to what happened during the colonial era. Perry is posed in this video as a liberated woman, as she is consuming men and various objects. And this is part of globalized Western feminism. It's moving from first to second wave of feminism and is woven into a tapestry of capitalism so it can be fully modern and empower women one had to consume. This commodity feminism helps shape an understanding of the modern woman that does more in reinforcing patriarchy and hegemonic understandings of gender roles than it does to challenge them, as the consumption is often focused on making women prettier and more attractive. Men are also scrutinized in this video. We see men fragmented into various body parts. And so this is typical of female representations made into sexual objects. So it's turning the tables and doing what was done to women to men. What we see also is that colonized males are hypersexualized. So the othered men, the Eastern men, are hypersexualized. And men, or the male image, is destroyed, and Perry's character is joyous when it is being destroyed. Indigenous and colonized masculinities would be punished for the merest whiff of sexual impropriety with white women. The focus on sexual behavior reduced colonized men to little more than threatening beasts with threatening lust that had to be controlled, avoided, and ultimately punished. Few declared Perry's version of Egypt as a display of racism. The question to ask yourself is why? It is simply because the onslaught of media's messages people receive every day worries them. Or is it because the destruction of men of color in a former colony fits the larger Orientalist narrative of inferiority of the East, and so their destruction seems familiar and fails to provoke? Are we just used to seeing this over and over again?